Let me get this straight. If you live in New York City and are unvaccinated, you could now go sit in a Chili's restaurant all day, but you can't work in one. The logic of all this just doesn't make sense. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and in this video, we're gonna be talking about Kyrie Irving. Removing politics and vaccine preferences from this whole discussion, the logic of what's going on right now in New York City and how it's affecting the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving just doesn't make sense. And it frankly, to me, doesn't make sense for the rest of the New York City employees. Before we dive into this, I wanna make one thing clear. I don't see Kyrie Irving as the victim here. Kyrie has had the full control to make that decision to get vaccinated, to be able to play in home games and avoid this whole situation. What I instead want to focus on is how him being there at the game today highlights just what to me doesn't make sense about the logic of this whole scenario for all of these employees involved. Earlier this weekend, we saw Kyrie sitting in Barclays Center watching the Duke ACC tournament game. And now today he's sitting courtside watching the Brooklyn Nets play, but he can't play himself because he still is unvaccinated. This whole story has been confusing from the beginning. When the vaccine mandate was put in place back at the end of 2021, there was an exception for anybody who was visiting as a performing artist, a college athlete, or let's say a visiting player on another NBA team.
This law in New York, the oddity of it to me is that it only applies to home players. If ultimately that rule is about protecting people who are in the arena, it just doesn't quite make sense to me that an away player who's unvaccinated can play in Barclays, but the home player can't.
I agree that this initially made no sense. If you really care about the health and safety of the citizens there, then that mandate should apply to everybody. There shouldn't be special exceptions for somebody coming in from out of town who has just as much of a risk of transmitting it to nearby individuals as the people who are there as part of that home team. If you would have asked me my opinion on this back when that mandate first came out, I would have said fine, but it should apply to everybody, not this double standard of people who are visiting or on the away team don't have to be subject to those same rules. You have to think there's at least some degree of politics involved here because, of course, New York City is not going to want to restrict some big performing artist from coming to play a big concert venue that's going to bring in a lot of money because that artist might not be vaccinated. So moving past the first part of this that didn't seem to make any sense, now, as of about a week ago, the vaccine mandate was lifted that restricted unvaccinated individuals from being inside these public spaces. So now any unvaccinated individual, including Kyrie Irving as a non-member of the Brooklyn Nets, can come and sit in Barclays Center for a game, concert, whatever, and not have to be vaccinated. And also Kyrie can go practice at the Nets facility because technically that's a private location, but yet he still can't be around the team and actually play in Barclays. At this point, you have to just take a step back and look at the logic of this whole situation and ask who this actually benefits at this point. The vaccine mandate for non-employees being in public places was lifted because COVID numbers are going down and everything is indicating that times are getting better with the pandemic. I don't understand how there's any science or evidence that this is less risky of a scenario or a set of mandates to allow unvaccinated people to be in public places, but not allow those employees who are unvaccinated to be there as well. Have consistency in these rules. So now it looks to people like myself and others on the outside that this isn't actually about protecting people and it's just turned into this political game of chicken against people who are pro or anti-vaccine. I'm pro-vaccine. I wish Kyrie Irving and all unvaccinated individuals would get it because I truly believe in the science behind it. But what I don't like seeing is the vaccine turning into this further political conversation point that just puts people on different sides even more. And unfortunately, it doesn't look optimistic of this actually changing.
You're right. Kyrie can play tomorrow. Get vaccinated.
That kind of a mindset just doesn't help anybody in this whole conversation, and to me suggests that this really is more of a political standoff trying to make a point here than truly advancing and looking out for the health and safety and just overall economic productivity of the city of New York. This goes beyond Kyrie and pro sports. If the city of New York feels like it's safe for people to be out in public in these public spaces and not be vaccinated, then why is it unsafe for employees to go back to work if they're unvaccinated? I still feel like there's settings like healthcare facilities where I think you should be vaccinated to go to work there, but it just doesn't make sense that if you're unvaccinated, it's safe for you to go to Barclays Center to watch a basketball game or a concert, but it's not safe for you to work there. That's it for the video, everybody. Let me know as always any questions or comments down below, and until next time, we'll see you later.